आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to look at what Trump is doing, no longer with a sense of amusement, no longer with a sense of curiosity that here is this person, he's lost it, or he's about to lose it, he's unpredictable, he's funny, he's weird. I mean, he's a source of amusement, he will increase the ratings of American channels. That would be a shallow way of looking at it, ladies and gentlemen. I want to begin by saying tonight that the world is in an extremely unstable situation because of Trump. I could not care less, like most of you, about what happens to the United States of America. I'm not an American national. I am an Indian citizen, and I'm concerned about the implications of Trump, first on my country, primarily on my country. Keep in mind today, Trump has gone into a different phase post-Venezuela. He believes he has the right to be a global bully. Please remember, he has withdrawn from 66 international organizations in the last 24 hours, which means he's saying, I do not believe in any world order. Half of them are UN, like the UN framework for climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole post-World War II international order is coming apart, and this will have implications. It's not like the post-World War II world order which was created was a great world order. Obviously not. It was for the winners of the Second World War. But here is Trump who's saying, I am going to do a global free-for-all. Among the organizations that Trump has walked out of, or rather America has walked out of, is something very important for India, which is the India-headquartered International Solar Alliance. The Modi government has put an incredible effort. Prime Minister Modi has put an incredible effort on putting it together. It matters to India, it matters to the world. It's among the organizations Trump has walked out of, America has walked out of. So America is going to walk its own path. Will it impact us? Yes, it will. Why? Because individual episodes sometimes have a great impact. Individual episodes have a great impact and a domino effect on the way things play out globally. What happened last night? The US military and the Coast Guard executed what they called as a high-stakes operation to seize the oil tanker Mariana. Now, these are the visuals. You can see the American troops go in, ladies and gentlemen, right? And this operation was conducted in the North Atlantic between Iceland and Scotland on January 7th. It is a 2-week pursuit. The Americans were in hot pursuit in this operation. And during this period, the crew changed the ship's name to Mariana and re-registered it under the Russian flag. They knew the Russians would be aggravated, but bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, bottom line is this: Trump did not care. Moscow reacted sharply. They called it violation of the freedom of navigation. They called the US interception illegal military action. But the point again is, Trump did not care. Trump does not care for anyone but his own personal ambition. And, ladies and gentlemen, among that, he will eventually, I can safely predict, seek a third term in office. He will violate every rule. He'll create new rules to stay longer as president, and he will violate all international laws. What is the impact of this on India? The impact is simply this: we cannot any longer think that what's happening in America is an American threat. America is not issuing threats. It is immediately executing threats in high stakes, new version of global diplomacy, which eventually Trump will run out of options, but in the short term it will impact us. For example, now he has given clearance to a Lindsey Graham US Senator pushed bill, which is called the Russian Sanctions Bill. Now, there have been reports that he has given a nod to this bill, which will increase sanctions on trade partners of Russia that deal in petroleum and uranium. This bill is called the Sanctioning Russia of 2025 Bill, pushed by Lindsey Graham, and those are the text and the words so that you do not feel I'm aggravating or exaggerating anything. It says in clause 3 that the president must increase the rate of duty on all goods and services imported into the US from countries that knowingly engage in the exchange of Russian origin uranium and petroleum products to at least, and not at most, but at least 500% relative to the value of such goods and services. This means that in theory, under this bill, India and China, both, we're concerned about India, could attract tariffs as high as 500%. That's why I put that graphic. We can put it back. Ladies and gentlemen, US media reports are saying that the Senate could vote on this as soon as next week. So is Trump actually going to impose 500% tariffs? Sounds unlikely, but let me tell you, under Trump, it's not impossible. As a nation, there is an extent to which we can give in. There is an extent to which we can negotiate. There is an extent to which we can try to accommodate. But now we must know, and I'm 100% sure the Modi government knows, this much and no further. I believe our government will be acting in a way, and therefore we must no longer think of what Trump can do or might do. Let's take an assumption Trump will do. Let's make an assumption Trump has lost it. He will do the most unreasonable thing, and let's plan. I'm sure that's the plan our government is working on. What could happen in the future? 6 points on what we think is likely to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, one, India will most likely reiterate that its energy policy is dictated by national interest and not external pressure. Now, some people may say we should not do it, it will be taking on Trump, but no, I believe we must say it. We have the right to say it and the sovereign right to say it. We must say it regardless of the small consequences in the immediate term. We must think of the long term. Secondly, we are likely to say we'll keep a cordial relationship with Trump, but we are going to plan contingencies, which means alternative diplomatic arrangements with other great powers, with other middle powers. Germany is coming. We have the German Chancellor coming to India. We have the Europeans we are talking to. We are engaged strongly with all other countries. And most importantly, I believe now, especially if you saw the comment of Donald Trump on giving India Apaches, where he was speaking in a way to demean our government, to be satirical or funny, or to make references which I believe are inappropriate to our political leadership. If he speaks in this manner, then we must grow our defense and national capacity indigenously to plug vulnerabilities and over-reliance on American resources. I think we are already going to do it. And we have to build upon the estrangement in ties with the US because of Trump to position ourselves as a leading power in the global south. So we can turn this into an opportunity. I'm sure the Prime Minister will do it. I hope the Prime Minister will do it. I believe the Prime Minister is already working on it. So we can use this opportunity not for vulnerability or for Americans to get leverage, but for us to be the leader of the global south. And ladies and gentlemen, American companies will do business. They will continue to make and build in India. We should use their presence to make it clear to America that you cannot isolate us. You need our market too. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time for us. We need to look at America and think less of what Trump will do. We need to think more of what we should do. I repeat, defense military complex, indigenous R&D, particularly in artificial energy, national green hydrogen mission. If we've been growing at X, we should now grow at 10X. After Operation Sindoor, we pretty much understood that we need to do more for our defense capability, much, much more, because as we become a great power, we will also face great challenges. But at the same time, if energy is going to determine which country moves ahead at which pace, this is the moment for us to make ourselves independent of America. Not even let them dream of controlling our business, economic, and diplomatic decisions. Let's debate.
America's Sanctioning Russia Act of 2025 threatens 500% tariffs on any country that buys Russian oil. A bill now backed by Trump.
Give this president...
It's hurting Russia very bad, the sanctions.
Oh, yeah. So this bill would allow...
And India also is bullying.
Yes, sir. So you put a 25% tariff on India for buying Russian oil. I was at the Indian ambassador's house about a month ago, and all he wanted to talk about is how they're buying less Russian oil. Would you tell the president to relieve the tariff? This stuff works. India is now buying substantially less Russian oil. So I hope we pass this bill soon. And after
Well,
this...
They wanted to make me happy, basically.
Not the first time and perhaps not the last. Washington is taking India's growth capabilities lightly. Fresh from his dramatic Maduro capture.
Going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country.
And capturing of the Ghost Fleet.
One of those ships that were seized that had oil in the Caribbean, you know what the interim authorities are asking for in Venezuela? They want that oil that was seized to be part of this deal. They understand that the only way they can move oil and generate revenue and not have economic collapse is if they cooperate and work with the United States, and that's what we see are going to happen.
Trump is now eyeing what he calls more rogue nations in a desperate attempt to push back against Russia. He's attempting to single out India.
I mean, I had India coming to me, sir. I've been waiting 5 years. We're changing it. We're changing it. India ordered 68 Apaches, and Prime Minister Modi came to see me. Sir, may I see you, please? Yes, I have a very good relationship with him. He's not that happy with me because, you know, they're paying a lot of tariffs now because they're not doing the oil, but they are. They've now reduced it very substantially, as you know, from Russia.
While Trump doubles down, India remains unfazed.
Reactions out here. Let me get a broad sense of reactions. I think, first of all, William Hendrick is with us today. He's former chief economist at Citi, right? And we have Tatiana Kokareva from Russia. We have Einar Tangen, senior fellow at the Tahi Institute from Beijing, and Ajay Bagga with us this evening. Now, 500% tariffs. Is he real? Is this for real? I mean, has Trump completely lost it to be okaying this? You want 500% tariffs on big countries like India, China, Brazil. Are you sure of what you're doing? Just a quick view, please. William? I know that. William?
First of all, let me state that I don't give the Trump view. I give my own view. Right. So this is the next step, I think, in the US trying to impose greater pressure on Russia. The timing of the Graham Blumenthal vote, which could be as early as next week, is, I think, not independent of the fact that the Supreme Court in the US may rule as early as this Friday on whether the International Emergency Economic Powers Act gives the president the power to impose tariffs.
Okay, I'm going to come back to the debate. I'm just going to take a detour. William, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm taking a short detour. I'm just taking a short detour for a moment. Tatiana, Ajay, Einar, bear with me, William, because I have a short one-on-one scheduled right now with the great Jeffrey Sachs. He's a global luminary on policy, geostrategy, economics, professor at Columbia University and former director of the Earth Institute and senior advisor at the UN. Thank you very much, Dr. Sachs. It's a great pleasure and privilege, in fact, to have you on Republic this evening.
Well, the privilege is mine, so thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All of your timing of your appearance on Republic couldn't have been better, because we've heard that Trump has approved a bill to punish those who buy uranium or petroleum products from Russia. And that, according to this bill, of which I've seen a draft, at least 500% tariffs should be imposed on these countries. This is going into the unreal sphere. First question, is he likely to do something as drastic in your view?
With Trump, things are out of control. He's invading countries. He's threatening countries. He left more than 50 treaties and UN organizations today. He's a psychologically unstable person in a political system that has broken down in the United States, so we don't have constitutional control. Tomorrow, it is said that the Supreme Court might rule on the legality of Trump's overall tariff system. If the court is honest, which is a big assumption, of course, in the U.S. these days, but if the court turns out to be honest, it will strike down all of what has happened up until now, because Trump has grossly abused his power. This is unconstitutional, what he has been doing. It is illegal, but he's gotten away with it because we are not in a constitutional order in the United States right now. We are in some combination of rule by the security apparatus and a very intemperate president.
Now, you have said don't play the American game. India is too big for the US game. My question is that you also said recently that India and China ought to get along in view of this strategic unpredictability of the Trump administration. What shape do you believe such an arrangement can take, given that there are already, we have a long history of tensions with and trust issues with China, and likewise perhaps? And how would it serve India's interests in the long term and the aftermath of the Trump era if we are to try and get along with China, or China is to try and get along with us? Are you looking at an ad hoc arrangement only for the Trump period, or a long-term understanding?
Oh, absolutely for a long term, because we should be moving, and we can be moving, to a truly multipolar and multilateral world. I've urged China very strongly to press for, and I think it would work, India to have the 6th permanent seat at the UN Security Council. I think this is extremely important to save the UN. So I want India to have a permanent seat in the Security Council. I want China to support that. And I want India and China to resolve their disputes, because the main objective of the two should be to create a multipolar world that is not dominated by the United States or dominated by the West, because that's passé. And in order for that to happen, that requires cooperation. The BRICS is a great format for that. But for the United States, it, up until this year, was trying to play India. You join us against China. One of the policies I really, really think is misguided for India, I'm sorry to say, is the Quad. What is India doing in the Quad? India is a great power. It should not be part of an American game, because that is disadvantageous for India. It's disadvantageous for a multipolar world. It's disadvantageous for stability. The Quad is an American game, and India is too great a country to play an American game. Now, I think everyone sees, I've been saying it for a long time, and friends in India didn't quite believe me, the United States is unstable, it is irresponsible, it's actually dangerous. And this, I think, has to be taken to heart. I'm sorry to say. It is a reality right now.
Professor Sachs, there are some people in India, who always favor a longer-term, deeper understanding with America and look upon our alignments either with Russia or China on the one side or with America on the other. And given that many people historically over the years, influential people in politics and business have been leaning towards America, their argument is this, Professor Sachs, that look here, this is a temporary situation. Don't go versus America because of Trump, because Trump is going to be a lame duck after the midterm elections? I don't think so. I just began by saying in my lead tonight that I think Trump is so erratic, he's going to want a third term. So I believe it's a long-term problem. But what would you say to those Indians who would say, listen, just hold your cards, do nothing as of now?
Well, I would say one thing. Trump is a symptom. He's not only a cause.
Okay.
That a man like that could be elected and reelected is a symptom of a broken political system. And the American political system is broken in two fundamental ways. One is that it is, in fact, a military security state when it comes to foreign policy. It has nothing to do with Congress. It has nothing to do with legal oversight. Congress is supposed to be the one that declares war. But you see, Trump is the one that does what he wants. And when a congressman says, well, that's unconstitutional, he sneers at the Congress, and that's the end of the story right now. Now, that's a long story. We could go back to 1947 with the creation of the CIA to understand that story. I've lived it my whole life. We have a deep state that is the security state. That's not a fiction. That is the military-industrial complex, the one that President Eisenhower warned us about on January 17th, 1961 in his farewell address. And it's real, it exists, and it is out of control. That's number one. The system is also broken because it's unbelievably corrupt. The last election cycle was a $16 billion election cycle. Silicon Valley decided who the vice president would be. They sat Trump down next to J.D. Vance, the donors, and they said, here's your vice president, Mr. President. This is a corrupt system. So to think that Trump is the end of the story is a misunderstanding. Even the attempt, by the way, to overthrow the Maduro government goes back more than 20 years. These are long-term projects. The idea of capturing Ukraine for the West is a long-term project. It goes back already to Bush Jr., to Obama, who oversaw a coup, or the U.S. participation in a coup in February 2014, to the NATO enlargement. These are long projects of the military-industrial state. And Trump, of course, is in a giddy, extraordinarily dangerous state of mind right now, so I don't deny that we're in something absolutely unusual. It's extreme, but the fact that he's there is itself a reflection. I'm sorry to say it, I'm an American, I live there, but I'm sorry to tell you, it's not a simple situation that's just going to go away with the midterms. And for India, India is a great country. It's the largest, most populous country in the world. It should not be playing the games of an unstable country. Yep. Now, of course, India has so many wonderful people living in the United States, going to school in the U.S. and so forth. I understand all of that. But from a foreign policy point of view, India's interest is in a multipolar world where India plays a leadership role.
Yes.
And that can be done with China, with Russia, with other regions.
Yeah. I, in fact, said that a while back. I was just saying that this is a great opportunity for us to position ourselves as a more credible leading power in the global south. I frankly don't know much about the Beltway blob, as they are called, about how these people who function in the administration or the bureaucracy in the US, we call them informally the deep state, how they are functioning. But I have followed very closely some of the things you've said, and I think you've been extremely on the ball on that. I personally, Professor Sachs, don't know whether Trump has captured the deep state or whether the deep state has captured Trump, but in the context
and the fact of the matter is, if I may say, it is the latter, actually.
Is the deep state has captured Trump, you think?
Yes. The way that it works is we have a war machine. It's $1 trillion a year war machine. It's got 750 to 800 overseas military bases in about 80 countries. It's got the CIA everywhere. It's got the National Endowment for Democracy. It's got the National Democratic Institute. I know these, I've watched it close up for 40 years. It plays a role. It's got the dollar roll through the sanctions system, through SWIFT, and so forth. That's the system. The only way the U.S. actually operates normally is if a president at least is on the ball to keep a foot on the brake. One really tried to stop it, by the way, John F. Kennedy, and there's a good reason to believe they killed him for it. But the other presidents sometimes tried to slow down this war machine. And Trump now is giddy that he's going to unleash it. He's threatening everybody. He's threatening, of course, he's gone to war with Venezuela. He's threatening Canada. He's threatening Mexico. He's threatening Colombia. He's threatening Denmark. He's threatening Iran. He's threatening Nigeria. This we haven't seen. But basically underpinning all of this is a military-industrial machine, which is pervasive in the U.S. political context when it comes to foreign policy.
That's going to be a big debate if I were to start what you just said, whether Lee Harvey Oswald was working for the American deep state. So I'll swerve away from that one to a point that's very relevant for our audiences in India. Professor Sachs, in some of my recent commentaries, I have tried to draw a comparison between what has happened in Venezuela in the context of our region to what happened in Bangladesh. You've also spoken about it, to what happened in Nepal. And despite my own personal animosities and anger with the support to terrorism by Pakistan, to what has happened in Pakistan with Imran Khan. You have also spoken about it. I think yours is one of the best commentaries of the way in which America has carried out regime change. Now, India is too big, too large for them to try to do something. Knowing, and you understand everything very well, the deep state, America, politics, their intelligence agency, everything, delegitimize operations, civil society, quote unquote, funding, street unrest, anarchy. I am of the view that we have a prime minister who is very forthright about nation first. And as you may have observed, he is not going to compromise on nation first. But what are the threats? What are the things we should watch out for in the context of Bangladesh, Nepal, Venezuela, and the general mindset in the Trump administration?
Well, let me just say, if I were any leader in any country, or if I were advising them, I would say, do not allow the National Endowment for Democracy, the National Democratic Institute, the National Republican Institute, and similar agencies to be funding operations within your country, because this is a game. This is not some benign role. This is a game of influence. This is a game often of destabilization. And it's been played dozens and dozens of times. If you know how to watch for it, you can see it, like you say, in so many places. The United States said Imran Khan has to go, and within 30 days he was gone. He's still in jail on absolutely absurd, tragic charges, tragic from his individual point of view, and I think for the stability of this region. And in Venezuela, this was an ongoing project. I've watched it close up. There's so many lies that are told in the U.S., by the way. One president, the president of Haiti, said to me at one point, they're going to take me out. And I rather naively said, no, Mr. President, we're not going to allow this to happen. And one day the American ambassador literally knocked on his door and said, Mr. President, to save your life, you have to get in this airplane. And the next time that the man touched the ground, he was in the Central African Republic, having been deposed by the United States. And I just want to add, I called the New York Times station chief in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and said, well, are you going to write about this? A coup just took place in broad daylight. She said, oh, my editor's not very interested in that story. So this game is played all over the world. It should not be played. It's deadly. This kind of destabilization has to end. But now Trump says, I don't have to hide it. I'm just king of the world. I can do what I want. I own Venezuelan oil. I want Greenland. Canada's our 51st state. This is This is very serious. I want people to understand.
What about India?
Because, well, India is a superpower. India just needs to keep its head on straight. It can't be threatened by the United States, but it shouldn't be playing a U.S. game either.
Why do you say that? Why do you feel we are playing a U.S. game?
Well, the Quad, to my mind, is a U.S. game.
Do you think we should get out of the Quad, Professor Sachs?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any role in the world for the
doing
Quad.
that, provoke Trump even further, America even further? You just walk out of the Quad? Can you do that? Isn't that too radical?
The United States has no credible threat on India. India is a superpower. And the BRICS, by the way, I like the BRICS a lot. I think it's extremely important that half the world has come together to say, we want multilateralism, we want multipolarity, we don't want to be bossed around by the United States. We want just a normal world, because the BRICS is actually behaving very responsibly. India has the presidency of the BRICS this year, and the BRICS can send a message to the 85% of the world that is not the U.S. and Europe and a couple of other allies.
Are you saying, are you saying, Professor Sachs, that this is India's moment? It's actually, this could be India's opportunity. It could be an opportunity for Prime Minister Modi.
Of course. I love this country. It should be clearly one of the leaders of global stability, because it's a very important country. And it's going to be more and more important, and it's going to be in the top 2 economies of the world in the next 25 years. And the United States, you're going to look back, and it's 1/4 the size of this country in population, and it has no right to boss anyone around, but it can't boss India around. And so all I'm saying is that India, the idea that the U.S. and India and Japan and Australia are working together to contain China is not in India's interest. India's interest is a bilateral relationship with your counterpart. And I truly believe, by the way, that the issues which have inflamed things between China and India, of course, they date back to 1914 to the McMahon Line and so forth. These are solvable issues compared to the real stakes in the world today, where India and China have absolutely a common agenda to build a stable, multilateral, multipolar world where the interests of India and China are as aligned as can be.
Last year, you quoted Henry Kissinger, and you said, to be an enemy of the United States is dangerous, but to be a friend is fatal. If I were to ask you to put that in context of Pakistan's growing friendship, the military government there's growing friendship with the U.S., who see themselves as friends of the U.S. That's my first question to you. How do you view Pakistan and the crypto deals between the Trump family, the open crypto deals between the Trump family and the Pakistani military establishment? How do you view that, and how do you think that's going to play out?
Pakistan is sad, very sad, because it needs economic development and social development and a long-term framework so that it can develop, not short-term games of listening to the U.S. military or enriching the President of the United States. So this is the real drama, which is Pakistan, from an economic development point of view, has been lost for a long, long time. And it's a drama with so many people, and with the nuclear power, it's a real drama. The United States, of course, I think it's obvious to say, cares nothing about Pakistan or Pakistan's development. This is my main point. The United States, I'm sorry to say it, it doesn't care about any other place. And so it uses these places, but it leaves them in a wreckage.
Absolutely.
And Pakistan is in a wreckage economically and from a development point of view.
I have 2 points. One last question, and then, Professor Sachs, it's a pleasure to hear you tonight. We have 4 prominent voices from 4 countries who are listening on to this, who are my panelists. I told them, just wait. I've got Professor Sachs, and they're listening on closely. So after my next question, I'll allow a comment on what you've said, if you allow. We have Tatiana Kukareva from Russia. We have got with us this evening Einar Tangen, who represents the Chinese point of view. We have the great Ajay Bagga, is a great macro voice from Mumbai. He's joining us this evening on the program. So they're going to be joining us as well in just a moment tonight. And before that, my last question to you this evening is that you've seen what happened yesterday. I mean, I'm always in our newsroom, we're always on the edge. When we saw the tanker being taken over, the Russian-flagged oil tanker in the North Atlantic, this game of dice that Trump thinks he has the upper hand on, do you think everyone could come together and counter him? Because this is a long-term battle for energy and for oil. Nobody's going to back off. Russia's not going to back off. China's not going to back off. India's not going to back off. So it's a lot of brinkmanship by Trump where he feels he holds the cards now. But could it just swing the other way?
First of all, Trump doesn't hold the cards.
You don't think
because,
he does? Okay.
Because real economics is about skills, it's about technology, it's about educating young people, it's about building infrastructure. It's not about invading countries, seizing tankers, claiming that Venezuela is ours. This thuggery means nothing from an economic point of view for the United States. It's just thuggishness. That's all. There's no merit or benefit for the United States in it. It's only harm. Yeah. Of course, it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's shocking to be seizing vessels on the high seas. The principle of the freedom on the high seas goes back centuries, not to Trump.
Yeah.
And this is my main point. But what India really, I hope, does is work with Russia, with China, with Brazil, with the BRICS, with the African Union, to say to the 15% of the world in the US, Britain, Europe, calm down, we're the vast majority, stop playing games.
Absolutely. Well, we really love this. People are loving your thoughts. Can I just tell you, Professor Raik, we keep a lot of tabs on streaming traffic right now, record-breaking streaming traffic, which means people are liking what Jeffrey Sachs is saying. Of course, he's very famous, very well-known, very direct. Like him or not like him, he doesn't pull his punches. I'll allow a small comment. This was not part of the format, but Professor Sachs, if just 10-second interventions, from any of our panelists. Ajay is there. Einar, you got something to say there on Tatiana, perhaps? Or William, who goes first? Okay, Einar wants to say something to you. Einar Tangen is senior fellow at the Tahi Institute. He's joining us from Beijing, by the way, Professor. Yeah.
Great.
Hi, Jeffrey. I would add to what you said, which I agree with, that Donald Trump, the frequency and the speed and the dangerousness of what he's been saying seems to be in direct proportion to his concerns about 2 million pages of the Epstein report. The fact that his base is deteriorating and fighting amongst themselves, those who aren't demanding handouts for beating up cops on January 6th. And then also you have over 60% of Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck who are now facing a much higher costs. So I think what you see here is we have to not just concentrate on bits and pieces, but the fact that he sped up everything so dramatically in these last few days, and it has to be a sign of desperation on his part.
Okay, that's Einar Tangen from Beijing. From Mumbai, Ajay Bagga. Briefly, please, Ajay.
Yes, Arnab, thanks for this opportunity, and thanks, Professor Sachs. We heard you at the UN the other day, a very courageous speech, and again today, you have brought up some very courageous points. It's not easy to talk like this in the US of today, so hats off to you. Overall, the points you made, Arnab had made in his opening segment as well, India and the rest of the world have to find their own path.
Yes.
We have to look at self-reliance while building on the multiculturalism, multilateralism, and globalism.
Yeah.
We cannot end globalization in the way it is being sought to be ended.
Yes, yes, Ajay, thank you for that. Tatiana Kukareva from Moscow, you heard Professor Sachs, your thoughts, please?
Thank you, Arnab, and thank you for this opportunity. Professor Sachs, I am music to my ears, the majority of what you said. The one thing I would disagree with you is that Donald Trump is out of control. I still would say that he's just catering to a very specific demographic. And that is a symptom that truly is, but of a different nature. I think that we need to understand that the fact that he came to power is a symptom of a very deep sociological problem that actually started during the Obama presidency. He is a symptom. He's not the core problem.
Yes.
As you remember, racially motivated crime spiked during the Obama presidency. The core demographic that actually elected Trump became active and actually started voting in the US elections because of the polarization of the society during the Obama presidency. So he is a symptom. He's not necessarily the problem.
Yes. Okay.
What I would say is that, just add to your discourse, the fact that the importance of the BRICS, that is massively coming to, there's nothing ever signified that how important BRICS is more than this, what we've been seeing these past days in 2026. It's a very active year. I find that there's also something to be said about de-dollarization.
Yep.
And untying the world economy from the US dollar.
So we are asking for bold moves here tonight. Sorry to interrupt, Tatiana, but I must give William his turn. Jeffrey William Hendrick joining us from New York this evening is former chief economist William Buiter. William, you started. You're generally pro-Trump, I think. It would be very interesting to hear your response from New York to Jeffrey Sachs.
I never have been, and it is extremely unlikely, unless there's a major transformation on the Trump end, that I will be pro-Trump. Right? I'm simply focusing on this sanctioning Russia act and the up to or even more than 500% tariffs it could impose on India. This actually should be viewed, this particular act, which is a bipartisan act from the Congress, as a way of putting pressure on Russia. And it does so by penalizing the importers of fossil fuel and uranium from Russia. It clearly does leave the president with a lot of discretion, including the ability to set waivers. After all, the US itself is a major importer of uranium from Russia. And so clearly we are going to have this used selectively. I think it is simply part of Trump's fluctuating, but on balance, growing frustration with Putin.
But even so, William, if I may interrupt, because even so, if I may just interrupt, because at this stage, I realize I've overshot my time limit with Professor Sachs. I'm going to continue this in a second. Don't go away, Professor Sachs. See you in New Delhi. And do come by our Republic Network headquarters. This is, the reactions we are getting tonight to what you've said. You've spoken out the truth. I commend you for that. And to be speaking from your position, you're clearly a strong and independent voice. So thank you. I can see Pastor Burns disagree, but I won't get into that debate. Professor Jeffrey Sachs, thank you for joining us. Rest of us stay. Pastor Burns was nodding his head with great disagreement. But you see, Pastor Burns. Absolutely. But you see, Pastor Burns, you can't do 500% on India. Or Russia. Or China, or Brazil. Perish the thought, Pastor Burns.
Well, first of all, hearing this Professor Sachs is very disappointing. Again, it's extremely anti-America, anti-American.
What is anti-America about what Professor Sachs said?
because everything, again, he's pro-BRICS. BRICS is designed to destroy the U.S. American dollar. It's designed to attack the U.S. economy. I think he desires for it. I mean, that's why he's in India. Maybe he needs to just stay in India.
Well, one minute. Professor Sachs is responding to you. I didn't want this, but because you said this while he's on.
Let me finish, because Professor Sachs had a lot to talk. He talked a lot. We sit here and listen. Right. We sit here and listen to an anti-American rhetoric. It is almost treasonous for the things that he was saying about America. He could disagree with President Trump.
1 minute, everyone on, please. 1 minute, everyone on.
Was extremely anti-American, very disappointing. But the fact of the matter is, it's shocking to me. Russia wants to destroy innocent Ukraine. If Russia attacked India, we would do the same thing to Russia. If Russia is attacking and killing people, that's what this is all about. Let's not forget what this is about.
Should we let Pastor, I know you are a moral advisor to President Trump, but may I request you to listen to the...
Let me finish, please, because I listened to him.
Because this is one-sided.
My point across. We listened for about 20 minutes or 15 minutes to Professor Sachs. Now, let me finish. The reality of it is this. This is about ending a Russian war against Ukraine. This is about the little children who are getting their heads blown off or their arms blown off.
So Russia is defiant regardless of your tariff threat. Please understand. Russia, Putin is still attacking.
That's why
he is ready to move into Taiwan.
And we go after countries that are supporting the Russian war. This is nothing personal against India. But India is one of those countries that's supporting the war on killing innocent Ukrainians around the world. And America, especially President Trump and his cabinet and those that voted him in, want to end the Russian aggression. This is nothing personal against India. This is about protecting the innocent lives. And guess what? If this ever happened to India, President Trump would do the same thing to protect India.
I don't think so.
Right is right.
Jeffrey Sachs is responding.
Wrong.
Who's responding? Tatiana, you're coming in? Einar coming in? Okay, Tatiana.
May I say one thing?
Because say one thing before you go, sir. Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you very much. I am, Reverend, is it? Just to make clear, I'm not anti-American. I am in favor of the Constitution and the rule of law and international peace. And I would just say I look forward to a chance to discuss this with you, but the United States should not have conspired in a coup in Ukraine in February 2014 to overthrow a constitutional government and to put in place a constitutional government that created this war. And in 2015, President Putin helped, together with Chancellor Merkel, President Hollande, to create a framework to end the war back in 2015 called the Minsk II Agreement. And I know a lot about it. It was unanimously adopted, but just to say, unanimously adopted by the UN Security Council. And then the United States and Ukraine said, nah, we're not going to implement that.
Correct.
So there's a lot to this story that is not the way that it's told.
But Professor Sachs, other thing I also wanted to add to what you're saying is that I think the fact is that we must, to have this view that we are going to help everyone in the world. First of all, I think as everyone knows, India is not a treaty ally of the US, which means we have greater strategic flexibility. We have total freedom. We are not your treaty ally, which means we are in no way obliged to act in your interest. We'll act independently on our interests. So we are not your treaty ally. And let me tell you, Pastor Burns, we never will be. I can put it on record, we never will be.
500%. Which is why we have no issue tariffing you.
We don't want to be your treaty allies. We're a great power. Professor Jeffrey Sachs says India is a superpower. Don't do this.
You are okay with killing little children.
No, calm down, please.
I'm sorry.
Don't force me to expose what you've been doing. Okay, Einar wants to respond. Einar. Okay, sorry I got you, Jeffrey Sachs, in the middle of the hot debate. Bye, Jeffrey Sachs. Okay, Einar. Einar is
he talking
responding.
about?
Thank you.
Is he talking about Ukraine or Gaza when he starts talking about little children being killed? I don't seem to think. And the premise of this program was about what is happening in
Einar, louder.
Venezuela, for which some reason the pastor doesn't feel obligated to make any comment about because it's indefensible. So, he's close to Trump. He gets power from Trump. He gets on shows like this because he's close to Trump. But in the end of the day, what he's speaking about is not American. If there's anybody who seems un-American, it's somebody who would support these kind of unbridled actions against innocent people and countries.
No, how much time? Okay, Tatiana, quickly, please. Tatiana.
Very quickly. Look, Arnab, we need to understand the pastor is trying to lead us towards the light. Donald Trump is so against killing innocent children in Ukraine that he went into Venezuela and he punished the evil Russians in Venezuela, and he killed evil Russians who posed as Cubans. Obviously, all of the people dead in Venezuela were obviously Russians. They were just being punished for killing innocent Ukrainians. But on the other hand, on a little bit more sane, part of this comment, we need to understand that if we're speaking about innocent lives lost, then we can come back to a very, very close case that you, Arnab, and all of the people from the global south would know about. For instance, the US drone warfare in Pakistan that killed a lot of people. And that is a reason why the Pakistani government is still very aligned with the US. I do believe that they remember what it was about. The drone warfare that killed an incredible amount of people, and the bulk of it happened during a democratic government as well.
Yeah, I just want to go to Ajay Bagga. Ajay, see, this 500% threat, at some point people say, beyond after 50%, it doesn't matter, it's 100%, 200%, 1000%. Let Trump be happy. Is it going to make a difference? Because, we still have all these Microsoft, Anthropic, NVIDIA, DeepMind, Adobe, Cisco, lining up to do business, Apple, lining up to do business in India. It doesn't matter, does it, Ajay?
Yeah, it in a very realistic manner, after 50%, you don't have any trade.
Yeah.
So you can't
that
compete.
graphic out of 15.
So that trade is over. You can make it 2,000, you can make it 10,000. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The second big part is what you opened your segment with, is to look at making other bilateral relations, bilateral trade, and looking at more and more self-reliance. China did that. In 2019, Global Times carried 35 articles on the 35 big things China had to achieve. To become more self-reliant and not be blackmailed like Trump did in Trump 1.0.
Well,
and
I think
China is very strong.
Yeah, I think I would go very much with what Jeffrey Sachs said there. It's a huge opportunity for India. I think work together, Russia and China and India and Brazil, strengthen BRICS. Hope this is a nightmare in America, and then see where things go. Pastor Burns. Pastor Burns, thank you very much, especially to you tonight, to Jeffrey Sachs, to Ajay, to Einar, to Tatiana, and of course, without a doubt, to William. Thank you very much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this. Remember, you can live stream anytime on republicworld.com and tell us what you thought of our debates on issues in India and around the world. See you tomorrow evening. Good night and goodbye.
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।